The first thought that comes to mind is the difference of why the U.S. is so well positioned for the future. Because when I look at many of the markets that I do most of my work in Asia, I see that so many of these traits are missing both in the education system and the way that society functions. And so this gives me actually a renewed sense of hope or excitement about the future of the U.S. versus global competitors.
Yeah, and Francis, that's a really good point. And I've been looking a lot at the Chinese model for education and the fact that so much has been just about that one offshoot off of data literacy. Because obviously they teach to the national test and it's based largely on this linear thinking that I'm talking about. And these students are going through burnout, but yet they're actually grappling with some of the same questions that we are as they look to how to cultivate these softer skills. And they're actually wondering if empathy is something that can be taught or if we are born with it. And that's kind of a big existential question because we don't know. It's the old kind of nature v nurture debate. So they're looking at ways to even leverage a lot of those technologies I talk about, which everything honestly comes out of Asia first, whether it's VR, AR, robotic teachers, or holographic tech, it's all being prototyped there first. But they're looking at an interesting, I think, hybridized model, not in the way that we are, but in a way where they're actually using technology to cultivate some of these softer things that I talk about in the tree.
But if I look around the tree, Erica, I actually can't see one area where China is doing a good job.
No, and that's why I say in the roots, like the objectivity part, it's really hard to kind of keep my own value judgments out of the equation. So yes, good, bad, it's all relative. But, you know, Mark knows one of the themes that we talked about in yesterday's meeting was kind of this digital Berlin Wall and the rise of techno-nationalism between US and China. And that's a conversation for another day and what's happening there. But one of the biggest existential threats in that is the fact that a lot of talent, either coming out of the US, but also mostly coming out of China, is going to be stuck basically within physical boundaries of these countries because we're holding on to our talents so tightly. So it'll be interesting to see too, kind of how this kind of quote unquote Cold War affects talent composition, talent acquisition, and education.
Yeah, much like a tree, I'm not sure that the roots will hold in the soil here.
Well, that's a topic for that Asia deep dive, or it could be a subset topic.